I'd like to introduce you now to Stephen Woods. Stephen went to school at St Alepius Primary School in Ballarat and St Patrick's College in Ballarat, and we're all very, very aware of the very dark cloud hanging over Ballarat for the last few decades. So I want you to give a very big welcome to Stephen Woods.
Thanks, Judy. That's fine. I can speak loud. As a teacher, I can speak loud. When I was planning this speech, there were two words that kept coming up in my mind. One was the word victim, and the other word was survivor. First, I'll use the word victim. As myself, I went through I was the victim of three rapacious, cruel, vicious, and unfettered pedophiles. These men did what they wanted to my body and to the bodies of so many of my compatriot students, both in primary school and in secondary school and afterwards. It's quite amazing if you think of what actually happened, what they did to our bodies. As Judy said before, the words that she used about the anus, vagina, she hit the word, she nailed it when she said that these parts of our bodies were defiled and abused to their own desires. And since then we have had virtually no comeback to the church, or from the church, from the hierarchy and from the Christian brothers, of what actually happened to our bodies. And this is just one of the things that drives the guys who I went to school with. And I saw many of my compatriots. I was beaten. I saw other students beaten. And this happened to little kids. This happened to when we were kids, although I was tall. But it happened over and over and over. We were made to be complicit compatriots in the sacrifice of our lives and our bodies to these men's unfettered, unrestrained desires. So I'm here today to again tell people that this cannot be unchallenged in society. This cannot go unanswered in the biggest scheme of things. That in this democracy, and here we are standing in front of the Parliament House, that the Catholic Church needs to be held accountable, that the Christian Brothers need to be held accountable, and that we need to pressure by writing and by speaking to our members of Parliament, and thankfully we have one here who agrees with us, that the members of Parliament need to hear our voices, and we are many. Because yesterday I was at a school fair where my sister teaches, and I saw so many kids, and I spoke to a number of teachers there and a number of parents who I know, and they were just so horrified at the story because they know me, they know my family, and they were so upset that this was going on. And here I was at a school and we were talking about this, and that while we're speaking there were little kids running back and forth. And this is what happened at our school when I was a little kid. We were molested, we were abused, we were bashed. So many times I was told that it's my fault. I was told that I deserved this. I was told that this is something that I had to bear because I was the one who was at fault. I was actually told this by the paedophile, that I was at fault. I was a kid. And just as so many other victims, we were kids at the time. How the hell do these people get away with it? Because they have a church backing them with huge amounts of money, thank you, huge amounts of money and huge amounts of authority and pressure against the politicians to not go against what they have absolutely stood for. And that is the covering up of paedophilic activity in their organisations. This is something that we, as a right in a democracy, can stand up and say that the separation of church and state absolutely needs to be used to show what goes on. A couple of years ago I went to the latest funeral of one of the kids who I went to school with. He took his own life. I was horrified, I was upset. But I went to his funeral because I wanted to show his family, I wanted to show everybody there that I was in support of every one of us who really hurts, still hurts to this day. Yesterday I talked to another victim, actually a survivor, and that's why I'm going to change it to the word survivor. This is where survivors have a right to hear their own story being told and to have a right to say, this was what happened to me, to have their stories heard. And so I encourage people and encourage other survivors who are survivors now to not suicide. Because when you suicide, they win. When you suicide, that's the end of it. They are getting away with murder. And as a survivor myself, I can assure you, you can live and love life. And this is something that I really want to stress to every survivor. And as we see parents and family and friends and survivors here today, it is such a joy. Life is such a joy. Let us not let them take it away. And I say to Mr. Ballier that if you don't have this inquiry, if you don't go to the coroner with everything, then clearly you don't care. You don't want to know, and you don't give a damn. Thank you.